What's going on, everybody? Wilson here, your spiritual hype man. Super happy to be back. I hope you're having a great day. And if you're not, just remember it's the thoughts in your head. And we just got to learn how to change them. We got to learn how to change those thoughts. And how do we do that? Influence creates thoughts. Thoughts create emotion. Emotion drive the action. Action creates your outcome. So we've got to change your thoughts. Then we got to reverse engineer and be like, okay, well, where are those thoughts coming from? And what is the influence that's creating these thoughts? What are my factors? What are the external factors that I'm in? Am I under the influence? Not under the influence? Am I, surrounded by X amount of people, these people, or like just, you really have to take time to really start identifying and becoming aware of these things, because ultimately at the end of the day, life is just about decision making, right? We've made that clear. Like all life is just your ability to make decisions over a long period of time. All right, that's it for me. Have a great day. And so for this, I wanted today's episode. I just want to talk about a few things. What do I have here? Frequencies, cycles, putting yourself in, listening. Okay, so first things first, cycles. I think cycles. We talked about it, and we've talked about it before. But I think it's just inevitable in terms of going through emotional cycles. Being a fucking human, right? I feel like there's moments of high highs and there's going to be moments of low lows. And I think one, just being aware of that is the first step. Then two, like understanding when you do, get to your low lows, like most likely probably came from it probably came directly after a few days of high highs, so like, it's just like a balance. And I speak on it because this happened to me recently, even after the PWFC talk, which was a phenomenal high for me because it felt really good. Like it's been quite a minute since I've actually got a chance to speak in front of an audience, and that was awesome. And so I was on this high, and then a couple of days later, I was like on a low. I was like, what am I doing? Well, is this, back to that same sort of, what we go through, like fill in the blank for you. And then I started identifying. I was like, Wilson, this is just like your cycle. Like you this is what you do. Like you get into these emotional, right? Like, and then I was trying to think of like, okay, is it during the beginning of the month, when all bills are due and everything else, and we're like trying to be like, okay, what do we do? Does that come into factor? Which I think it does at times. It definitely does, obviously. But then what else, right? Because then I started looking and thinking about like looking over our financials. We're like, oh, well, yeah, no, we're okay. Like, so why am I feeling this way? And vice, like just continuing to like really assess the situation, but also identify that like, okay, now that I understand it, I'm aware of it, right? Level 1, unaware. Level 2, you're aware. Level 3, you've made the change. Like I'm back at level 2. I'm like, okay, I need to hurry up and figure out what I need to do in order to change my thoughts so I can start feeling good again, and then have that frequency of feeling good like carry over into everything I do, even, to the universe, and then let the universe reflect that back to me. That's really the idea. That's really the thought. And so on the third day, I think it was on the third morning. So it was like 2 days. I was just kind of like, fuck, this sucks, da-da-da. And then I think it was the third morning, I just woke up with this feeling of, you know what, like I'm not going to feel this way again. We're going to change this dynamic of my feeling, of this frequency that I'm carrying around. And I sat there and I believe I just started thinking about the things that I've completed and I accomplished and I said I was going to do, and I did. And then that created like a spark of energy and like a feeling of satisfaction and contentment, I guess, in a way of like, yeah, man, you are doing it, and you are crushing what you say you're going to do. And so that provided like a level of energy and a level of frequency. And again, side note, the more and more that I look into things and I see things that pop up, there's a level of frequency. I think your brain is in theta or alpha. I think it's theta waves when you're right before you wake up, right? Like a couple hours before you wake up into waking up. And so there's something to that as well in terms of like tuning your frequencies, right? If you believe in that, which again, if you don't believe in frequencies, then why do we have them? You know what I mean? I would just say that to you, but But again, to each their own. I would just say that happened on the third, I believe it was the third morning before I got up, because I was like, I don't want to go feeling this way for another 2 days. And so that was it. So I did my own self-talk, meditation, spiritual hype man to myself. And next thing you know, I felt really good. I felt the frequency. I felt like my whole body was in tune with that frequency of feeling, satisfied and actually like positive about where we're at and what we're doing. Cause it's like, yeah, no, we are doing pretty good. Let's keep it going. And then that day, like there were several things that happened that day that just went according to plan, and again, so is it a coincidence? I don't know. Or is it frequency, or, is it, I don't know. But that day, or again, it could be like the Raz, right? When you're looking for a red car or like a red thing in the room now, so you see everything that's red. It could be that too, but wouldn't that be considered a frequency? Right? So that's my story and I'm sticking to it. So that was the first one. That was the first thing that has happened recently. And I'm like, I was actually very proud of myself as far as being able to become aware of it and then quickly changing it so it didn't become 3 days, 4 days of that same like feeling, because I didn't want to be stuck there. And then the next thing, let's see, putting yourself in. I think putting yourself in, and what I mean by that is like putting yourself in the situations that you want to be part of, right? Like putting yourself in situations that will create the outcome you want. Like that's it. So if the outcome is, fill in the blank for you. For me, it's like I want to speak in front of people because I want to share the concept, the thought, right? Like these things that like to me matter, and I believe like should matter, right? To anybody else that's a human being, because at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm talking about, the most common denominator thing for humans, and I enjoy it. So like I've had the want and need to want to like do that for the longest, and throughout my years, there's been sporadic moments of that, and for the last few weeks, maybe even months, the whole notion of wanting to go and speak again was definitely, part of my frequency or part of my brain or part of my, self-awareness in terms of like, I definitely want to do something. And then the opportunity presented itself. And so, it presented itself, and then I put myself in that scenario. Like I said yes to it, right? I could have said no. I could have said, I'm not ready. I'm not like, but no, like I just put myself in those scenarios. And that's what I would say. The point is just if there's something that you want to do or an outcome that you want to have, and you're not currently like doing it, or you're not currently seeing that reality, just put yourself in. Like figure out a way to put yourself in that situation, or the lead up to that situation that will lead to that situation, if that makes sense. Yeah, and so the same thing with, I would say recently, the last couple of, I think 45 days, like same thing with like our business and the things that we're doing, and just the direction. There was a moment where it all started clicking even more, and I was just like, we just got to put ourselves into these things that are going to make us better, more efficient, and more successful, which brings me to the next thought is, and I'm sure you've heard of it before, systems. I think systems is something that before, again, my influence, my thought, and my emotion was, no one can tell me what to do, and I don't I don't belong in a box. So fuck your systems, and I'll figure it out and just do it my way, which is fine to a certain extent. But like, there's a certain nuance to having systems around or in place for you in a way that puts you in the situations, in the influence, and the moments that are going to steer you into the right direction of what you actually want. And so until you can, again, become aware of that and like wrap your brain around that, if you don't have systems set up for yourself, and again, it doesn't have to be like, this is what I eat every day, this is what I do at 9, this is what I do at 2, and like, it doesn't have to be that when I say systems, but more of, ways that you can do what you need to do in a way that's either more efficient or more helpful or better for you mentally, emotionally, physically. So like, what are those things that you can do that you can start putting into a system that actually will benefit you even more? Whether it's saving time, again, filling up your emotional cup, um, you know, yeah, that's pretty much it. Saving time and filling up your emotional cup. Probably those two things. And so we've started doing that with building, like we've built some pretty cool shit, which has helped us. And again, we've used AI with the power of AI. But here's the one thing I want to say about AI, and I've been trying to say this before. It's like there's a couple of things. One, it's not just saying, "Hey, ChatGPT or Claude or fill in the blank," like build me XYZ, right? Like, and you can say that, and it'll build whatever what you're giving it that direction of. But if you can just wrap your own brain around your own brain and understand that like it's your brain's thought process and thought power times what you ask it to do or what you input, it's going to like, it's almost like the wheel. It's not even almost like the wheel. It is the wheel. So like back way when people had the option to use a wheel or not a wheel, and some people decided not to use the wheel. That's kind of like what's happening right now. So I feel like that's something important that I would also encourage you to think about. Like, how can you use it to help with systems that then can help you save time on things and or fill your cup. And so yeah, those were some of the couple of ha's from these past few days. There's definitely more. I can't wait to get Patty on here because that's that's a few other things that we had earlier on in the year, but now things are great. She's traveling, which is the last point, and the last point is listening within a relationship or to yourself, whatever relationship you're in. I think listening is an important factor, and I think we've heard that before. You have two ears for a reason and one mouth, even though most of the time I'm using my one mouth at the rate of two ears, but that's besides the point. But it was listening, right? And for the longest, Patty's always been talking about traveling and traveling and traveling and traveling. I'm like, I want to do the same thing. I want to travel for sure. But how and can we, and what about the budget and all of these things that ultimately when you look at just the cost and the opportunities and what you can actually travel for, depending on where you go, of course. And then depending on who right? Your network is your net worth is sort of the idea there, or your network is your, places that you're going to crash when you go. Like you can do it. So the cool part is that she's been able to travel, and this is something that she's been talking about for a while, and just most recently been able to travel even more. And then there's a level of like peace and happiness that comes from that, from her and from me, and just both sides. Me feeling that like I'm happy, like I can help provide for that, and then for her that she's actually doing it. And then there's obviously a level of like distance. It helps you grow together or grow closer, because you missed a person. Like the first time I dropped her off, and the second time I dropped her off this week, it was like, man, I am missing my best friend, and I do love her very much, and it just like reinforces all these positive emotions too. So it's been a great journey. I'm excited to keep sharing with you. I'm excited to share with you the next couple of stories and interviews that we have. Thank you guys for doing what you do. Appreciate you guys so much. Keep crushing it, and don't forget, nothing changes until you do. Peace.